How you doing? All right. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, there's a.
She's not going to be here.
Take this one. We're all set.
Also.
Okay, folks, thank you very much for the tech assistance. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:01 and just acknowledge that I think one board member will be joining us online and 3 other board members are absent tonight, all for good cause. But we do have a quorum and we can move forward. So with that, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, lots of places. First item after that is approval of the minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve the special special meeting minutes from May 21st, 2025.
So moved.
Motion made by Brendan, seconded by Mark. Any conversation, discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Welcome, Ilda. Thank you. And then I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the regular May 28th meeting.
So moved, Hilda.
Okay, motion made by Brendan, seconded by Ilda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay. And now we're on to public comment. Is there anybody online or in the auditorium who would like to speak during public comment? Welcome, Dr. Gamero. No? Okay. So now we're on to the board chair's report. First thing I'd like to bring up is that I will be away on vacation that last week in June when we have a meeting scheduled for June 25th, and my vice chair will be otherwise occupied with a family health matter that day. And I talked with the superintendent, and he's in great need of a few days off at the end of June. So I wanted to raise it with the board unless there's an objection, I'd like to move that we cancel the June 25th meeting.
I second
I think-
that.
No, well, we don't need to second it. Just, are there any objections? Okay, I think what we're going to do is do that. My one concern that I raised with Neil was whether or not there was like any budget transfers or things like that that we needed. I know he checked with finance and Rita, and those are more likely to come like right at the beginning of in July after we're closing out the year, correct?
Yeah, and if there is a need for a meeting, we could always do a special virtual meeting just for budget transfers if we were in
Okay.
if some need arose. Well, we have one tonight, so I think we're, yeah.
Right, but, okay. So we'll give everybody a little break at the end of June. How's that sound? Okay. And then I'll just remind board members that I'm trying to pin down a date for our special mini board retreat with Dr. Gamero in August on a Saturday. Most of you have answered me, but a few of you have not let me know what your Saturday schedule is in August. So I think what I'm going to have to do is pick up the phone and call a few of you and get it narrowed down so that we can put it on the calendar. And I just want to also acknowledge Dr. Gamero for spending about a day a week in the district for the past couple of weeks. And we look forward to you starting on July 1st. Thank you. So Neil, it's on to you for acting superintendent's report.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I just have a few items I'd like to just go over. The first is to talk about our senior parade that just took place actually on Monday. So all of our seniors that are about to graduate next week, they got into 4 buses and they traveled through all of their elementary schools in Barrows and the middle school and the early childhood center. And they actually came through central office. Every location celebrated differently. I believe our central office theme was Bubbles. But like some of the schools had bands and just different celebrations and were very enthusiastic. And the students light up for it when they come through, especially the siblings. So it's just a great time to celebrate our seniors and actually show all of our students in the other schools what to look forward for in the future. So just wanted to acknowledge that happened on Monday. Next, we actually started today what I call the promotion ceremony season. It's a season of just a few days, but the season began this morning at Sweeney, where they had their grade 4 and grade 5 promotions. We actually Lynn and I both just attended the Phoenix Academy graduation along with Dr. Gomero and several of our central office staff. And we're really excited. They actually just tripled the number of graduates from last year. That's really exciting. And then I just want to show the board, I think for all of you that came in, I gave you an updated version of the schedule. There were time changes at one of the locations. And I know as a result, some of those might make conflicts for you, and I personally apologize, but wanted you to have the up-to-date information.
Thank you, Neil. Are there any comments or questions? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, one more update, sorry. And then the last update is on our Windham High School sports update, and just getting right to it there. Just want to, this is from our athletic director, Zach Konopka. We saw continued success and many bounce back performances. Our outdoor track and field team won their 3rd straight ECC league title, the 9th one in the past 11 years. We obviously have a very dominant track history here at Windham. Our softball team bounced back to qualify for the state tournament on the last day of the regular season with a walk-off win against Windham Tech, local rival. This is the first season in 3 years that the girls tennis team did not have a cooperative team with Windham Tech. It was their own. We had 20 Windham High School girls participate, a number that continues to grow every year. And 2 of our students advanced in the ECC tennis tournament, the first Windham High School athletes to do so since 2011. And finally, we had Angela Christie added 2 more outdoor track school records in the 200-meter and triple jump to go with her indoor record. And another student qualified for the state open in the shot put and disc. And we had 61 athletes earn honor or high honor roll accolades this spring, which is really very incredible to celebrate. And 21 of our athletes earned all conference or honorable mention from the ECC. Congratulations to all our athletes.
Very impressive.
Yes, and it's not on here, but I just wanted to celebrate one person in particular. It is going to be Rita Parsiak's last meeting with us. And I can already tell, I can see her blushing. I know she doesn't like the limelight, but I'm going to embarrass her a little bit and just take a moment. So Rita has actually worked in Windham Public Schools for a total of 17 years. Most recently, this past stint being 9. The last 5 are the ones that I know the most because we worked together on the cabinet. I affectionately call Rita our fiscal guardian. She has been responsible for changing a lot of our budgeting practices in the district for the better. She's put a lot of systems in place for the better. And all of you know, and I know Mark works with her along with Lynn with the Finance and Audit Committee, has put systems and reporting in place that was I've watched firsthand the improvement and the changes you made for the better for the district. I've also sat on, I think, over 15 contract negotiations with you. And I just want to say that, and I see some union people in here, I'm just glad Rita's on our side. And I'm very appreciative of that. And just the other thing I just want to say is, in addition to all her celebrations as an employee, she's just a colleague and a friend. And I'm just going to miss all the times her just talking about Leo and Desiree and Skylar and her new addition and her new favorite person, Asher, her grandchild. And I'm just wishing her well in her retirement and wishing her success in her new endeavor in Groton.
Yay. Oh, Rita, you want to say something voluntarily? Wow, okay.
I had to write it down. Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me have a couple of minutes of your time. It's bittersweet for me to say goodbye, and for those who know me well, they understand I don't like the spotlight, and talking in front of people is one of my fears. For 17 years, Windham has been more than just a job to me, but also a home away from home. I am thankful for all that I've learned, my friends that I have met, and for the memories. My life is filled with debits and credits, literally. And although that may seem boring to others, it's what I enjoy. My decision to retire early has been a work in progress for a very long time, and I decided a year ago to make it a reality. I want to thank the board for directly guiding and supporting and trusting me over the past 6 years. In addition, I would never have been able to succeed without my dedicated staff and coworkers. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have worked alongside such amazing people. Thanks for being such a supportive group. Together, we made it through COVID months and dedicated hours of analyzing ESSER funding, spending, and reporting. I won't miss the long hours and weekend emails, but I'm really excited to move on to a new adventure. I'll cherish the memories I've made here, including Parmesan fries at Fenton's. Remember, change is scary, but good for everyone. I wish Windham the best, and I'll miss all of you.
Rita, I don't think any board member is welcome to speak, but I just have to say, I remember when I first came on to the board and was the board chair, and we did the forensic audit. And that process and how we came out of that process and putting you in charge of how we moved forward was one of the smartest decisions that this district ever made. I don't know whether there are many people who have the kind of fortitude and clarity about finances and understanding of the complexities of all the grants and the other funding streams and how that works out in a day-to-day way, and putting together our budgets in a way that we could understand them, and just being an all-round, just wonderful person to work with. I don't think I heard an angry word directed at any of us, at least, out of your mouth the entire time that we worked together, and we probably deserved it sometimes. But I can't thank you enough. You will be deeply, deeply missed by me, and I know the Board of Ed, and there'll be big shoes to fill when your successor is eventually chosen. But does anybody else on the board want to say anything? I
I
don't want to
do.
put any people on. Ilda, go ahead.
Rita, I'm gonna miss you. You are definitely, you have some big shoes to have to fill. Although you're quiet, you have a big presence when you walk in the room. And like you said, your life is debits and credits. I like that. So I wish you the best in your retirement. Don't go back to work anywhere. Just enjoy yourself. Go to the beach, have fun. And I'll miss you and you take care of yourself.
Yeah, certainly want to say that I will indeed miss working with Rita. I've worked with a number of finance directors and I appreciated our time together and working on these difficult transitions from the old school to the back to the regular way we do our budgeting. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Rita. Don't be a stranger. Feel free to come back anytime you want, or just drop into a meeting if you miss us a lot. I doubt you'll do that, but anyway, thank you very much. Now we're on to committee reports and school planning design. I'm going to hand it over to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Lynn. We met on Monday. It was just me and Mary, as well as the administration in there, so there wasn't a quorum, so we really just had a discussion. Sly gave us some updates on facilities, including what's going on with the Windham Center moves, the HVAC tech that was just hired, some of the work going on with the walkways at Barrows, and the current status of the septic pump pit over at North Windham and the work that needs to be done there. Other than that, I also mentioned, you'll see on our agenda under action items tonight, we have an item to accept the completed work on the underground oil tank projects at North Windham and Windham Center schools. Yeah, Windham Center has been done for probably over a year now. North Windham was finished up during the school year this year. But at this point, we need to accept the work so that the town can start the closeout process with the state. And that was most of our meeting.
Any questions or comments for Brendan? Mary?
Will we be adding this capital improvement projects thing that's in our, I don't know, the Barrows $300,000 replace rooftop heating and North Wind, or is that just, we discussed it Monday, but we didn't,
Yeah, I just included it in the discussion as part of the overall budget. I'll explain that later. That didn't specifically happen at the planning and design. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, those were put forward under the capital improvement budget that was on the referendum. So now we, in our budget discussion, need to talk about how we're going to deal with those. Good catch, though. Any other questions for Brendan? Comments? Okay. Now I know we didn't have an ad hoc elementary school consolidation meeting, but we do have one scheduled tomorrow night, but there still has been a lot going on related to the ad hoc elementary school consolidation committee. So I discussed it with Mark and I thought he might want to update folks on where we are on some things and what's happening, what we're going to be discussing tomorrow night at our meeting, because there are some important inflection points in the process that are happening right now.
Thank you. I always miss not having an opportunity to speak, so this is very nice of you to put me on the agenda. The important things that have come up so far for our ad hoc is for those of you who may have missed the email, the town council has passed the 4 required resolutions for the state grant for that part of it. And I know we will now be able to go full speed ahead and file our state grant application by the end of the month. I know Neil is going to open up the window for that, and our consultants will be working to fill in all of the data. We are meeting tomorrow, 5:30 to 6:30. It was squeezed in when we thought there was going to be a town council meeting, but so we're meeting 5:30 to 6:30 tomorrow. We'll be discussing the next steps because there's still a lot to be done between now and, as those of you may know, the town council actually set November 4th as the referendum date. So we have to make sure we get a lot of steps done between now and then, schedule more conferences, more public forums, and do some more work convincing our fellow elected officials of the need for this project so we can ensure we get their approvals. So that's pretty much what's going on up till now.
Are there any questions for Mark or comments that anybody wants to make? I did, Mark, see today that the town council is going to have approval of the minutes from that meeting on their agenda next week, or whenever they're meeting next. I did see that those minutes were sent out because they've seemed to have had some problems approving minutes
Oh.
at the town council level. So the mayor is trying to make sure that if there are any problems with the minutes, that people are weighing in and that they can be approved in time for us to submit those minutes with
With
our
them.
grant application. And I am still trying to find out where we are on the special language that we had inserted into the school construction legislation, to make sure that that was approved before the end of the session. I don't know the answer to that yet. Hopefully I'll know before tomorrow night, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. So now we're on to the one discussion item we have on our agenda tonight, which has been a recurring discussion item at our board meetings because our budget is still, the budget situation is still unresolved. And we've been working to try to get some details about what happened with the state budget and how we made out, which there's some good news on that front. But I did want to start out by reporting to the board. This is very confusing. So under the town charter, if the Board of Finance is unable to set a referendum and have it passed by the 17th or the 16th of June, which they were technically unable to do because of the notice that is required for a referendum. So even if they had wanted to do a referendum in the first part of June, they couldn't technically pull that off, given all the requirements. So the town council is kicking in, and they are going to have a meeting rather than tomorrow night. They're having a meeting next Monday night at 7 p.m. with the Board of Finance, and they will be discussing what to do about the budget. The word we are hearing is that they will, the town council, after discussion, will use, will use their prerogative under the town, will use their power under the town charter to set the mill rate for the upcoming year so that tax bills can be sent out to voters in the beginning of July. I'm sorry, I have a frog in my throat. What that means is that on Monday night, we anticipate that they will set a mill rate that will give us no more money than we got last year. So it'll be a 0% budget increase. What we don't know is whether or not the town council at some point after Monday night will decide to give us any additional funding separate from what was set in the budget, say through the undesignated fund balance or some other source of funding that they might come up with. And that is completely up in the air right now. So I just wanted to set the context that what Neil is going to share with us tonight is where we are given all that. And then the one final note I want to make, Mary, is that we are moving forward as if the capital improvements that were turned down in the budget, there are capital improvements that the Board of Ed must make to its buildings in order to meet like code and health requirements and sustain the functioning of the buildings. And so we'll have to figure out how to move forward with the town on getting that money appropriated for us. But there are ways to do that. But those are the two things that we're operating under a 0% budget increase from the town. And then the one final boomerang that I want to throw in there for everybody is there is talk on the Board of Finance's part when they meet next Wednesday on the 18th, that they may decide to go ahead and have a referendum on the budget in September. I don't know how that's all going to play out, and like it's not really worth discussing that much tonight because we just don't know what's going to happen. But part of what we wanted to do tonight in the budget discussion is be level set about how we respond, how when I go to the town council meeting on Monday night, because it's the same time as the graduation at the middle, you know, it conflicts with the graduation at the middle school. When I'm there and whoever we decide is going to go with me, how we answer any questions that may come up about the budget. Because it's our feeling, strong feeling, it's the Board of Ed's decision about how we deal with the budget that we are dealt with, and that the town council and the Board of Finance don't have any right to tell us where and how they think we should make cuts or accommodate a 0% budget. Did I set that table correctly?
I feel you said it very well.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Neil, to walk through with us then.
Hello again. So I really just have a few slides. So the first slide that I want to share with you is just the updates legislatively that Lynn was talking about. There are two in particular as a result of the recent legislation, particularly HB 7287. This is basically a grant that Windham Public Schools will receive $250,000, and this will happen for 2 consecutive years. We're still, Lynn and I are still exploring and making sure what the parameters are. The language that I've read in the bill looks like it is a straight up grant towards public education in Windham Public Schools, but we want to clarify before we make any official statements to say it didn't look like there were any straight up parameters. And I do want to just acknowledge that this was through the support and was put in by State Senator May Flexer. So I'm very appreciative of her work and advocacy for Windham Public Schools in the legislation. So that was important. The second is through the municipal grants, Windham Public Schools will receive $423,394 from the Special Education and Expansion Grant. And what this grant is for, and there are a few parameters here, but we think we can work within our existing structures to spend it. One of the purposes is the idea of internalizing specialized programs versus outplacements and spending money on in that avenue, or enhancing your own specialized programs, or just as the needs of special education costs go up, or you need more staff to meet the needs of the students that come into our district, which with intensity or frequency can change or increase in a given school year. So these really happened very recently. So these weren't shared even at our last meeting, but obviously the two totals of them is about, you know, it's not quite 1.5, but like it's about like 1.4%, between 1.3 and 1.4%. So I wanted to share these updates with everybody because it will impact what I talk about next. Next slide, please. Okay, sorry for the large chart and all the red font. But basically, what we have here is you've seen this in variations several times, but the starting point is the 5.8%. I think if the screen is blocked up above, I apologize, but it says approximately $3 million. And then as of June 11th, these are where we're at and I'll explain this. So the green part is basically the stuff we've been doing all along since the budget process started. Some of these reductions that are in green, I won't really talk about because I've mentioned at previous meetings, other than to say our 2% set aside amount is currently at $514,000, which is about 1%. So we have about another $500,000 of potential. I don't know if we'll get there. I'm not feeling completely optimistic about it, but that potential does exist. The 4 items that I put in yellow, I just wanted to highlight because there was changes to them. So originally in the budget, I put a capital improvement for IT, new cybersecurity contract. That actually has to be added into the budget now because of the impact of the capital improvement that we're reducing, and I'll talk about that later. And obviously, that's up for discussion. The certified attrition in the original budget assumptions, we took $507,000 out for certified salaries, meaning teachers and administrators. We added $93,000 to that assumption. And then the 2 other highlighted grant, which is a significant amount, is the grant and the 2 grants I mentioned in the previous slide. So when you add all of those up, and then currently we have 15 positions to be reduced in addition to the ones from the original budget, which brings us to 28.2. That gets us budget reductions that don't end in layoffs or program eliminations, has reduced our budget by a total of 4.83%, or about a little over $2.5 million, which I feel we've had some fortune with those grants, but also is an immense amount of labor on the behalf of our staff working to be strategic and pinching pennies everywhere it can to try to get to a place to operate for next year. Then the next section, that brings us to where we're at to get to a 0, if we're going to have to get to a 0, which it sounds that's where we're heading. We're at about a 0.97%, a little over $500,000 away. So the next 4 categories in blue, I did with intention. It actually adds over that 0.97%. I did that because I'll tell you what I would recommend to do, but there might be discussion as we move forward. We currently have 13 position reductions that are resulting in layoffs to get to 0. We also have middle grade sports, meaning Windham Middle School and Barrows. We also have clubs and field trips that were mentioned last time. All of that would get us below the 0 mark by $60,000, which means there's potential to bring some of that back, which might be at some point a discussion of this board. And I don't know if it'll be part of your discussion tonight, but wanted to bring your attention to that. If we are able to increase 2% set aside or find position reductions that don't result in layoffs, that will significantly impact us for the better to hopefully bring back some of those things. But at this time, that is not what is available to us. So as things have become available, if we become aware of information, we have responded accordingly. And this, while it's, depending on your point of view, whether this is confusing or simplified, results in many, many hours of work by many, many people to get there. So I'm very appreciative of my team and the staff in general. And in addition, what isn't seen here, it also involves a lot of staffing assignments and movements to make sure that we're in a place to serve our students next year. So that's all occurring at the same time. And then I have one last thing, aside from the fact that I just realized I spelled recommended with 2 C's and just want to bury my head. I will move to the next slide. Yeah, it takes me twice to warm up apparently. Okay, so the capital improvement projects, what I did is these are two capital improvement projects. I removed all of the other ones that I would call essential projects. In other words, we need these in each for different reasons. I'm going to go to the bottom one. And I can't wait to the day I stop saying decaying sewage pump pit. I look forward to that because we probably discussed that 400 times. But I will say that it will take $110,000 to replace this. This has to happen. I haven't connected. I know that Lynn brought up this question. I'm going to connect with Sly on what the timeline is. But to me, this is really an ASAP. If it actually decays, we're out of luck. Literally. So this is the most important capital improvement that needs to exist. The other one, and this was reduced originally was 750, and in the long term, that is a correct number. This $300,000 is reduced in the immediate to replace a Barrows rooftop heating and cooling units. And this is actually something that's about to begin to happen because of the age of the building and the age of the units, because we're reaching like 15 years. And the problem is this is one, if they go, we have to replace them and we can't wait for approval. They have to be spent. So that would come out of our facilities budget at the tune of, I believe, I'm looking at Mr. Harris, but I believe around 60,000 in a pop. And if that was to happen, that's just something our budget can't really like take unexpectedly. So those were the two improvements based on the discussion last time to move forward with what is essential. I would say these are the two most critical of all of them. And in terms of the cybersecurity, which is very critical, what I did already is I added that back into the budget and is actually reflected in the budget projections that you saw.
Okay, I think we can open it up to questions, conversation. I don't know whether people want that chart up again. We have it in front of us, but Mary?
Yeah, I mean, this is really upsetting. And the town is just abdicating their responsibility. And I don't think they don't have to cut it to zero, but the first thing I want to say is it's, good, and this has been in the media about special ed being funded at a higher level by the state. But the reason for that is the costs are going up. So we're getting more, but everybody is going to be getting higher costs. So it's not really, this doesn't help our budget necessarily. I hope it helps the children. The other observation I have is something that bothers me every year. So there is money in capital improvements. There are some things that had been voted on in previous budgets, which apparently are sitting in accounts. The board is supposed to be able to use the money that's voted on, including the capital improvements. And if we need to move it around, and this has been established by a court case in the state of, a court case that took place in Ellington years ago, the board can use money as it sees fit. It can move money around. And that court case had to do with like the town trying to cover a roof and saying you can't use it for something else. And the schools district won. So we do have money in capital improvements. So if we need to move it because we need this sewage situation absolutely taken care of, we have to clarify these things and address it as soon as possible. And the thing about the cybersecurity, it should stay in capital improvements because we still have money in there.
We have taken money that's in capital improvement. You want to address that question?
Well, I was going to say we have moved money around and there is some possibility There are some funds that are already in capital that may be able to be used, especially for that North Windham situation. Barrows, I don't know if there's anything allocated that's free at the moment for that. I don't believe there is, but so that, as you said, we may have to go back to the Board of Finance for that. Whether or not we agree with that, that's another story. But the other thing I wanted to say is that cybersecurity thing, that's only for a 1 year. So we shouldn't have been looking to move that to capital to begin with. That should be in the operating budget from the get-go.
Yes, I think, Mary, we do need on the capital improvement stuff. First, we have to get through next week, but then we should be dealing with what's already been approved for capital expenditures, whether or not there's any money that can be moved around to backfill these needs, and whether or not we need to ask for additional money, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Because there may be some pending projects that we don't want to take off the table.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, the town is saying to us, not the town, there are some members of the town council who are saying, well, we zeroed out our capital budget, so you should do the same. And I want to go into that meeting on Monday night and be clear about, no, we're not going to zero out our capital budget and we need money for these things. Correct? Is that
Yes.
how we should be approaching
We
it?
should approach it that way. I mean, these are the same ones that'll complain when we say we need a new school because of deferred maintenance. That's what our building's behind.
I'm
Ma-
ready to call the health department and say we're not starting school at North Windham until that's replaced.
I don't think any of us disagree with you on that, Mary, that we have to get it taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no doubt that one will get addressed this summer, some way, somehow.
So school planning and design, as chair of school planning and design,
Yeah,
you're going to be like a man with a mission on this one.
we will make sure that we have this operating septic system at North Windham for the start of the year.
With Sly and Albie and anybody else we need. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and, we have said before, both in that meeting and, for the board's edification and knowledge, that we need reports about where those capital improvement funds are, because every so often we hear that the finance director of the town says, oh yeah, there's a little bit here and there's a little bit there, and it's very confusing because it's not his money, and I would like to know what money is where.
Yeah. I would say we'll ask for that again and try to get a reporting of that for the next committee meeting.
And if we need to make a big stink about it, we will. I do know, Mary, I don't know, were you at the town council meeting last week? No, I don't think so. They reported on the audit. The audit's done. So we should, have you gotten a copy of that? And Mark, have you seen it?
Copy of it, yes.
Okay, well, at our next committee, we might want to, finance committee, we might want to go through that so we know the things we need to know
Right, yeah.
as board members.
I received a copy of that night at the meeting. As far as the capital improvements, I think we're going to have to get if we can finally get an analysis, because using what might be available now to do the sewer may mean that we've postponed projects that we thought we should have done last year. But I also think we may have to look at this again in the misty memories of time. Capital improvements were done as they were approved as they were called up, and we'll just have to request in June, July, or August that the council has a town meeting to approve the capital improvement for this sewer. Otherwise, as you pointed out, Lynn, it will smell bad. So, we certainly shouldn't wait on it. We should make sure the board, as you say, board understands Monday that this has to be done. It's not a can wait issue, and that they'll have to have a special, they can be approved through town meeting, so.
And that the town council members don't conflate the budget with capital improvement, because they
Right.
clearly, a lot of people don't really understand
Right, if
the
the capital
difference.
projects don't affect the mill rate for this year's budget. When they start paying them back, or when they come due, they get built into the debt service that the town has. So it doesn't, it's spread out, so it doesn't affect, it doesn't have the immediate impact that some members of the council and Board of Finance seem to think it does.
So back to the budget, I mean, we don't need to make any decisions tonight. In fact, it would not be prudent of us to make any decisions tonight because we don't know where we're going to end up finally. This is just keeping the board informed about the fluidity of the situation. Could you talk a little bit more about that, Neil? About
Yeah.
how the decision-making process here.
Yeah, so basically, because of the timeline, so over the next couple of weeks, if positions, like I was mentioning earlier, if we realize we could put more to 2% set aside, the items in blue may come off that list. That would be my intention. And I put my own personal order in which, if I was making the executive decision, would go in the order of that to get those items back into the budget. That could help us. And also, if we were to, if positions that don't result in layoffs and don't impact operations occur, which happens in the summer, I was mentioning to Lynn earlier, a lot of our resignations occur in the month of July or late June. That could impact this as well. My hope, though, my ultimate hope is when I am not sitting here at the next time and Dr. Gamero is sitting here, that we have a balanced budget set up. And I know I'm actually working with the finance department because in Munis, we have to put something in place, because if we don't have it in place, well, our finance system won't work. So so we need to do that. But we are working towards this. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I thought it was really prudent to just share where we are, just like I did 2 weeks ago. I hope that answered your question.
Mark?
Yeah, without being combative about it, I would also point out that those last blue items that Neil has recommended are administration recommendations. The board has not agreed that we want to close clubs or cancel middle school. That may be the better option, but the board still, through the finance committee, can have a robust discussion about whether is it better to change this program as opposed to clubs, or is it better to do that? This is what Neil has put forth, and I think we can accept for now because we haven't had that discussion, but there still will be an opportunity for, as I say, a robust discussion as to exactly where those cuts will come. And I'm not suggesting that Neil made wrong decisions. We may agree with all of these, but we haven't had that discussion yet as a board.
So do you have any thought on when and how that should happen?
Well, I would say, after we finally get some clarification from the town as to what they're going to do, and then shortly after, or in July, we should obviously get some, because you need, as Neil pointed out, we need to set the budget, so we need to have some definition by in July. So after Dr. Gamero is here, we can finalize if we need all these cuts. There's still some possibilities.
Does that make sense to you, Neil? I know there are things that from an administrative point of view need to happen, like vis-a-vis any positions
Yeah,
that may
so
be impacted.
so what I would say is the items below the 13 position reductions, if those come back first, currently as it stands, that means layoffs will occur. That, and again, to Mark's point, he wasn't agreeing or disagreeing. He was talking about having a discussion about it. But I just want to point out the reason those three are after that is they don't result, like, to avoid laying off staff. If those positions can be restored into the budget currently, while there's no discussion in place, this is the sequence I'm bringing things back and bringing back to the board.
Does that make sense to the board, or people have any questions or comments on that? When do we, okay, this may be a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it. When do we have to have the financial budget in place in order for the finance system to work?
She knew to come up.
Getting ready. So July 1st, we have to post a budget. What we could do is have a type of clearing account that we, set aside if we haven't been able to make the decisions on what is cut. But July 1st, we have to have it in place so that we can pay bills.
Well, much like we're doing now, we could put the budget in place
Mhm.
and then come July 15th, if we decide we're going to change one of the items, we'll do a budget transfer. We've done budget transfers all season long.
Like a holding account.
Right, so if we
that-
decide that the club account was zeroed, now we want to put back 70,000, we'll just take it from whatever account and just do a budget transfer. The budgets can still be done, and we just may face, transfers.
So my goal is before July 1, we won't have to have the debate because we're going to figure this out.
Right.
It's
Um,
hard because it's a timing issue this year. I mean, we don't know where we stand at the end of this year.
Mhm.
That's the only thing we know right now is the 514,000. As POs get closed and the rest of the bills get paid for June, we'll know more, in the next 2 weeks.
Is it a problem if we don't have a meeting that last week in June then, for any particular reason?
My personal recommendation is that I just keep updating the board if there's any changes. If we needed to call a special meeting, we could always do that virtually.
Okay. Does that make sense?
I wouldn't think we'd have to have a meeting by the end of June. We could wait till July.
Keeping the finance and audit next week, that's scheduled for next week,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, we have a finance and audit committee scheduled for the 18th,
Right.
right, at 6 PM. So we
Sure.
should keep that
Yeah.
because I
and
think
Update you.
there could be some important updates. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Does everybody understand where we are? No matter how frustrating it is, we understand how frustrating it is. Okay, so I will go to the meeting at 7 PM on the 16th at the town hall. Is there anybody who's going with me, Neil, from administration? Because I know you have to be at the graduation.
Yes, I'll let you know the list too of who's coming, but there will be people with you.
Right, just in case. I don't want to be sitting there alone.
I'll join you, Lynn. It's okay.
Okay, thank you,
I'll be
Mark.
Right behind you.
Thank you, Solidarity. Thank you.
It's actually a night where we'll be divvying up our staff. We'll need someone at the ad hoc high school committee. Albie's nodding his head. And then we have people back there that will join you and Mark. And I can give my glorious speech at the Windham Middle School graduation.
Inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else under budget staffing? I just want to acknowledge how wonderful the staff has been, all the teachers and the staff and the central office folks as they've been moving all these pieces. And I know there's a lot of transition going on with the closing of Windham Center School and the movement of fifth graders back into the middle school. And there's been a lot of staffing moving around that's been happening. And I want to say that, like, from the outside at least, it seems like people have been handling things with a great deal of grace. And I really want to acknowledge that, because there could be some more conversations that need to happen as a result of the position we're in with the budget. And I just hope the staff and teachers and everybody know that we fought as hard as we could, and we're really pissed off about being in this position.
For the minutes, that's annoyed.
Yeah, I'm annoyed. And I want to acknowledge how understanding everybody has been about the fact that it's not the Board of Ed that is making these decisions. This is a position that we're put in, that's beyond our control until we change the charter. Okay, so now we're on to action items. I would I would entertain a motion to accept the completed work on the underground oil tank projects at North Windham and Windham Center Schools. Finally, wow, that's
So
amazing.
moved.
Motion made by Brendan,
Second.
seconded by Alicia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. And now we're on to budget transfers. And to whom should I hand over? Rita, are you going to walk us through the budget transfers? I know they were sent, but
Does somebody have an extra packet? I just have the big one in front of me.
we have Paula's here. Paula's extra packet.
Are these memorized?
There's a few. It's been a little while, right? It's been since May 14th. So they start on page 16. These are all, most of them are from the departments, moving money to close out their lines or additional expenses. I don't think there's any on there except the last one that needs to be discussed about, you know, because nothing's over 50,000 until you get to number 199. But if you have any questions on any of the ones that are not in blue, I can answer them. So
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, go ahead, Rita.
did anybody have any? So basically, number 199 is settling up the benefits accounts. And we are transferring some money for Brown and Brown to be our consultant. That's the first line. We had additional retirements this year than last year, so that creates payouts for severance and stuff like that. I think that's they're pretty detailed in my opinion. If you have any questions, I was using most of the projected available balance, just going down the lines. And that's what I'm doing with the 2% set aside, is going down every line to be able to move whatever hasn't been spent. So that transfer is $292,000. But the amount we need approved tonight would be the $517,206.
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mary to approve the $517,206.
Second.
Seconded by Mark. Now we can have discussion. Anybody have any questions? So Rita, I just want to go back, since we were giving you a lot of kudos for your work here, sort of moving us into transparency around our transfers and accountability around our transfers was one of the things you achieved since you've been here.
Thought I was going to do my speech after the budget transfer, but came earlier. Thought it'd be funny, but thank you. I appreciate all the praise you've given me.
Thanks. Anybody have any questions about the transfers or more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion that's on the floor, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. See, we have a lot of faith in you. So if there's nothing else on the agenda for action, I would open up public comment. Is there anybody online or in the room? Mark?
Yeah, I'd just like to take the opportunity, I'm sure the rest of the board will agree, since this is Neil's last official acting superintendent role, and he moves back to the stage crew after this, I want to congratulate you on your actions and appreciate your efforts in carrying over the fort. Thank you.
That is very kind of you. Thank you.
Really, really, Neil and the rest of the central office team who like filled in all the gaps, have done an amazing job as, in the acting team, and interim team positions. I want to say that, I think it's a blessing that Neil and Tracy worked so closely together, which really sort of helped in the transition. But part of the reason I wanted to cancel the June meeting, not only just because June 25th meeting, not only was because I was going to be away, but also because I think Neil needs a little break before Dr. Gamero starts on July 1st, and she's going to really need him around at the beginning of her work here. So we want to give him a little break. And you're not going to get away so easy. We'll probably do something to recognize the interim team's work when we get back.
Thank you. And I just want to say, when you mentioned the interim team, I really am appreciative of the interim team. Actually, Rita was the only member of the interim team that didn't have interim or acting in her name, and then she left us. So like, but I'm really, really appreciative of everybody. And one of the things that we did in making the interim team, we actually did it with one fewer person in central office, and we had a lot of work and changes to do. So, or fewer people. But I'm very, very excited the things we accomplished. I'm really looking forward to Dr. Gamero starting on July 1st and working with her and going back to my enjoyable role as assistant superintendent. But thank you, board, for being so gracious and supportive of us in all of our endeavors together.
I think we should give Neil a standing ovation.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:03.
I move, we move.
I have
Meeting
one
adjourned.
public comment. Sorry to interrupt there. I know you
who's-
guys are coming in on the deadline. My name is
Who-
Sally
who-
Milius.
I don't see you anywhere. I didn't see a hand. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. I didn't have a hand raised, and I was enjoying your praise of Neil because we are big fans of his as well. My name is Sally Milius. I'm from Windham, a
Oh.
program in the community. I missed the public comment at the very beginning. You guys jumped in fast. And I just had one question relating to we have a group of youth, the Windham Youth Network, who'd been hoping to be on the agenda or be able to present to the board. And they've been having a hard time getting in touch and scheduling that opportunity. And I just joined tonight to find out what the best way was for them to do that. It sounds like you guys have your hands full with budget issues, but we're just wondering what the best way would be for them to get on the agenda, or whether just showing up for the public comment at the beginning of the meeting was appropriate. And if so, how much time they would have they have a presentation about an event that they had regarding unlocking the bathrooms in the schools and also sort of opening up more communication between students and adults at the schools.
Sally, it's not normal for us to have a back and forth conversation during public comment. But I would just urge somebody to send email to me as the chair of the Board of Ed or the superintendent, and that's how you get on the agenda.
Okay, no, they've tried that a number of times, so that's why I showed up.
I haven't gotten any emails about this. I'm sorry.
So I'll just jump in. We'll get back to the request they made and we'll work on setting it up.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
super. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And good luck with the budget. And Neil, thank you from all of us as well. We are we're big fans of yours and appreciate your leadership. So
Thank you. So I didn't see Sally's hand, so I'm going to amend my motion to adjourn the meeting to 8:05. Brendan?
I move, we move again.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.